Well, how are you today?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing good, man. It's been fun walking through these conversations with the board members. Um, the heart of this is just to share why you guys are so invested and involved in True North. And Andy, you've been a guy that since I've started on staff, you've been at so many retreats and you've been so involved. And it's an honor to have you on the board. And so thanks for coming on the podcast and sharing kind of your experience and your heart for it.
That's good to be here. Like I say, I'm a little apprehensive. I'm a behind the scenes guy more than I'm out in front of the cameras kind of guy. So
yeah, this will be fun though. It'll be fun. So tell us a little bit about who you are right now in this season of life. I know you just had another grandbaby recently.
Yes. Yeah. We had number 8
Oh my
came.
gosh.
So Paula and I got married almost 4 years ago, 4 years next month. And so I went from 0 grandbabies to 6 grandbabies in 18 months.
Yeah.
She had 2 when we got married, and then 4 of our 5 kids were pregnant at the same time.
Wow.
And then we've added 2 more since then.
Yeah.
And so, it's just a fun, crazy kind of time.
Yeah. And then you're just traveling the world all over right now, right? That's what we all give you a hard time for, at least.
You do, yes. We've, in the 4 years we've been married, we've hit 23 national parks.
Oh my.
We've done an African safari.
Mm-hmm.
Did some traveling up in Michigan and crossed over into Canada.
Yeah.
We've had a trip down to Mexico. And by the time this is released, we'll have just gone to and gotten back from the Galapagos Islands and the Amazon rainforest.
Yeah. So what has been one of your favorite adventures to go on so far with her?
I think just the hiking out in God's creation.
Yeah.
And, whether it's the Rocky Mountains or the Grand Tetons really struck me. It's just this flat plains and all of a sudden, boom, there's a 8 or 10,000 foot mountain right in front of you.
Yeah.
And it's not like everything builds up in Colorado before you get to the big ones.
Yeah.
And it's just flat plains and all of a sudden, boom, there it is.
Yeah.
So
that's awesome.
It's really neat.
Yeah. So you much more mountains over beach then?
Or I've always been a beach water guy.
Yeah.
But after going to the mountains several times, I'm very much a mix now. I still enjoy, like I said, we're going to snorkel in the Galapagos and do all those kind of things. But I'm very much any kind of nature. I'm really enjoying a lot.
Now, have you traveled for has that always been kind of a part of your lifestyle, or is this something new since you guys have been married?
Fairly new.
Wow.
Growing up, both set of grandparents were in Florida. One was in Jacksonville, one was in Orlando. So I knew the roads to take to Florida before I was even a teenager.
Wow.
Because it was always that was our summer vacations.
Mm-hmm.
So other than that, I really hadn't done a whole lot of traveling.
Oh, wow. Are you from Oklahoma originally?
I got to Oklahoma in kindergarten.
Okay. Yeah.
So pretty much, yeah.
Pretty much, yeah.
I did move away for about 11 years, Tampa for 3 years and Dallas for about 8 or 9. And so couldn't get back home fast enough.
Yeah. And so what do you do for your career right now?
Well, I'm semi-retired.
Yeah.
And so, which is kind of nice. I still work 3 days a week.
Yeah.
Keep the health insurance in place and that good stuff. But I'm an accountant by trade. Currently, I'm the accounting manager for a CPA firm here in town.
Yeah. How long have you been an accountant?
In accounting, 26 years now.
Golly.
That's my second career.
Yeah.
I did quite a few years of corporate accounting. I guess it was, 12 years of corporate accounting.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been in private practice for the last, 13, 14 years.
Yeah. And so you have blessed us by being our treasurer for the past couple of years on the board.
About 4 years now. Yeah.
And that's so exciting, right?
Again, I'm a behind the scenes guy and I'm a numbers guy. So it's kind of where my talents lie. And I'm glad to bless True North and not having to pay for that kind of stuff.
Yeah. So how were you introduced to True North?
A guy, Steve Romano, was a friend of a now ex-wife, and they were in, I guess, Toastmasters together.
Oh, yeah.
We went over to their place to just kind of have dinner and, me get to know Steve a little better, and my ex to get to know his wife, Tammy, a little better. And he started off with, so what do you like to do? No, wait, what are you reading? And I said, well, I just started this book, Wild at Heart. And he's like, oh, you got to go to boot camp. And we called it boot camp back then.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, okay, yeah. I'm thinking to myself, dude, quit drinking the Kool-Aid, it's a
Yeah.
book.
Yeah.
I got on like chapter 1 or 2 at that point, by chapter 6, I'm texting him, what is this boot camp? I've got to go,
Yeah.
And so I got to my first boot camp in September of 2013
Mm.
and just opened my eyes to so many things,
Yeah.
and just radically changed the course and direction of my
Yeah.
life.
Do you remember what it was in Wild at Heart? In reading that book by chapter 6, like you said, do you remember what it was that was really stirring in you?
I felt like I was reading my story,
Yeah.
you know, um, you know, issues with, dad and, just, the beauty, all these things just were like, okay, yeah, that's me. Okay. That's me. And it just, yeah, had to go and experience it. And,
Yeah.
I, spiritual warfare. I grew up in a Presbyterian background. So it was like, we praise the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost.
Yeah. Yeah.
And never really understood or acknowledged that spiritual warfare was a real thing.
Hmm.
So
Were you still at a Presbyterian church at that point? Whenever you came to Basecamp
where
for the
was
first?
I at? I think I was probably at a Methodist church at that
Okay.
point. Yeah.
Yeah. So still not as prevalent, but a little bit, more of the warfare talk.
Mm,
Yeah.
not
So,
really. Yeah.
yeah. And so that was an introduction for you for that. Was that one of your big takeaways from the first camp?
Um, I think really just there was a lot of selfishness
Mm.
came to light. Um, I was so screwed up. I didn't realize I was a poser till my second camp. But yeah, just, there was a lot of things that was like, it resonated that, okay, that's not the way it should be.
Mm.
So,
Yeah. So let's talk about the poser then. What did God reveal to you through your second camp? How were you posing?
um, gosh, in 100 ways. There was, uh, I had no close accountability,
Mm.
no friends that had the right to kind of go, dude, what are you doing?
Yeah.
I would have bowed up and, who do you think you are?
Yeah.
Um, I've been very blessed since that very first camp. I've been in either a men's group or, meeting weekly as an accountability partner with the original Matt Ford,
Yeah.
and my best friend, you name it.
Yeah.
We've met probably weekly since that first camp in 13.
Is that where you met him?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I knew no one except for Steve Romano when I went to the first camp.
Okay.
And I met Jim Mays at the table,
Yeah.
and Big Barry.
Yeah.
Great guys.
Yeah.
I'm still in Jim Mays's life group.
Mm-hmm.
And so, but yeah, I've had those two connections that seen me through, my last divorce,
Yeah.
fighting for that marriage I couldn't save,
Mm-hmm.
7 years of singleness,
Mm.
engagement, now 4 years of marriage. And those guys have the right to, dude, you can't do that.
Yeah. Man, that's incredible community. Like, so
Yeah.
you're looking at what? 12, 13?
13 years.
Golly.
Yeah.
That's rare.
Yeah.
So obviously them just being there is just a huge through all those life
Mhm.
seasons. Is there anything else you can point to about that men's community that has really benefited you as a man in your spiritual formation?
I guess understanding it's okay to lean on other people.
Mm.
My story was such that, you can only count on yourself. You can't count on anyone else. Everyone else
Yeah.
is going to let you down. And, walking with other men and having that kind of relationship helps you to realize that you can count on other people. You can have, other people will have your back.
Yeah.
And being able to, what's the right word? I guess walk through um, the hard times in transparency.
Mm, yeah. That's a big part of men's groups right there is transparency. And like there's not many parts of the world right now that you get to do that. Like you kind of have to hide your real feelings so that you can just perform and be who they think you're supposed to be. And so that's great freedom that can come from that. Now, before that group is still open to newcomers, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, because you guys are still going strong.
Yes. Yeah. I meet with Jim and some guys on Saturday mornings,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm also in, Paula and I are in Jim and Pat Mays's
Mm-hmm.
Wednesday night
Okay.
life group,
Yeah.
along with about half the guys from
Yeah.
Saturday morning and their wives.
Yeah. So, but I know for so many times we've referred new men that are looking for life groups to your Saturday morning group.
Mhm.
So if you guys are listening to this and you're in the Edmond area, it's a great group of men that
Yeah.
seasoned men that have been to tons of True North experiences, right? Uh, and y'all are still open to more people, right?
Always.
That's awesome.
Always.
Very cool. Um, okay, so let's talk about your board engagement. What was it like when you were first invited to consider being on the board? What because you said it's been about 4 years.
I've been on the board 4 years.
Okay.
Yeah. I was originally invited, I guess it was 7 years ago.
Oh wow.
And I was like, wow, guys, thanks. But I mean, I'm a 3-time divorced guy. I can't be on the board of a ministry.
Mm,
And they just kind of smiled and went, okay, you know,
mm,
and it came back around again a few years later. Like, what would you think about being on the board? I was like, yes, yes. Don't even finish the question. I'm in.
yeah.
And I guess I finally gotten the growth to understand that our ministry is about not my past, but because of my past, who I am now.
Hmm.
And that change in a man and a change in his history
Yeah.
is the example we want for everyone else.
Yeah.
And I wish I would have recognized that earlier.
Yeah. Yeah. Was there any anxiety stepping onto the board, or has it been what you expected, or anything like that?
I don't know that I had a lot of preconceptions on it. I think it's really cool how often we actually just stop the meetings and say, let's pray and listen to what dad has to say about this,
Yeah.
and that's not what you would think a board, would be
Yeah.
doing.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm thrilled that we focus on and make sure we're
Mhm.
trying to stay in God's will at all times.
Yeah. Um, so looking at your years at True North, can you talk a little bit about um, just your walk with God and maybe from the beginning to now, some of your experiences and how it's formed you as a disciple of Jesus?
Well, like I said, I was in church before camp, but it was very much okay. I went to church, check the box. I'll throw a 20 in the plate, check the box. I'm not a complete heathen, check the box.
Yeah.
And there wasn't really a relationship there.
Yeah.
And um, I guess it was after my second camp, sermon series. At that point, I'd moved over to Frontline
Mm-hmm.
downtown, and lead pastor Josh was having a sermon series, and he just kind of at the end of one of the sermons, he kind of threw that cliche line out there, well, what happens if you died in a car wreck on the way home today? And it really just kind of like made me stop and think and kind of put me in a crisis of faith. And I'm like, so I had a conversation that Sunday, and then the next Sunday the sermon series continued. And after that, I'm back down front talking to the same pastor again, going, hey, why this is freaking me out. And he just kind of goes, it's the same prayer, whether it's the first time or you're rededicating your life.
Yeah.
I'm like, you're right. I'm all in. And right there, I rededicated my life. And 2 weeks later, I rebaptized, and just fundamental changes and shifts and everything.
Yeah. What has that looked like as far as your like your disciplines go? Has it changed, your daily walk with him, and how you pursue him or interact with him?
Yeah, we do. We have daily devotionals, and they kind of switch up. For the longest time, I was using Jesus Calling.
Yeah.
Now we use New Morning Mercies. in a new book, and I don't know why I can't remember the name of it, but one of Max Lucado's daily
Oh yeah.
devotionals. And so we use those, and Paula and I try to read those together when I'm not up and out of the house before she wakes up when I
Yeah.
have to work. Um, and then we pray together regularly, of course.
Yeah.
Um, and then, of course, when back really, even back, I started tithing.
Mm,
And so, and I've, recognized you cannot outgive God.
yeah. Well,
You
and that's
know,
a tough, like, that's a big deal for a guy in finance, in accounting, right?
yeah.
Like, it needs to make sense for you. What was this shifting point for you where you had that moment where you're like, okay, I can't outgive God?
Um, just seeing the things he's done in my life. I mean, there were times where, even go back to when I went back to college in my 40s,
Hmm.
and I I'm an accounting major,
Yeah.
doing the math, and I'm like, I'm going to run out of money in March. I'm not going to make rent in March, and I
Yeah.
don't graduate till May. You know, and watching God, I had, and 18 months before that, I started tithing on my unemployment.
Mm,
You know, and ended up, you know, God's like, well, look for financial aid, apply for scholarships, do these other things. I thought I'd been doing well, and lady in the financial aid office helped me with a bunch of stuff, and ended up graduating with $5,000 in the bank and never missing rent,
oh
utility, or a
wow.
meal. Wasn't having to do the whole rice and beans and
Yeah.
you know ramen noodles for a meal,
Yeah.
and just proves he can make things happen that just are way outside of your own ability, or
Hmm.
you know.
Yeah. What's been some of your favorite or a favorite experience you've had with True North, either at a camp or any other environment?
Well, I think well they definitely we were at the Ascent. I guess it was probably my second Ascent,
Okay.
and we're in the listening prayer session,
Yeah.
and the guys that kind of heard my story and were listening for me, and Ian goes, you're going to remarry again, and you've already met your wife. I'm like, wow, really? Well, I spent 2 years going through everybody I've ever known, had contact with, went to school with, ever worked with, whatever, and it was just, no, 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 no,
Yeah.
no. And after, like 2+ years, it was probably between Christmas and New Year's of 2020, a month after I joined the board. And I said, okay, God, if she's out there somewhere, you're going to have to drop her in my lap, because I can't find her and I'm sick of looking.
Yeah.
If I'm going to be single the rest of my life, I don't like it, but if that's your will, so be it.
Yeah.
And within 45 days, Paula calls me to introduce me to her college roommate, and went to a kind of a singles dinner the day before Valentine's Day. And there was less than zero spark between her friend and I. And Paul and I started dating like 2 weeks later.
Oh wow.
And that was February, and we were married in November.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's incredible. What? Okay, this is just sparked into my mind, but what you said you had 7 years of singleness.
Yeah.
Like we know a lot of, and I know a lot of men that are probably listening to this podcast that are in that season themselves.
Mhm.
What did you learn in that season? Um, and how did God kind of be there with you in that season?
Well, early on, I was right out of a divorce
Yeah.
and surrounded myself with a lot of other guys that were like minded. I was in a group called Fight Club,
Mm-hmm.
as men fighting for their marriages based on biblical principles. And we were kind of each other's lifelines. If we ever, were out with friends or whatever, and, had one more beverage than we should have, and all of a sudden there's this younger, hotter, better endowed young lady, oh,
Yeah.
you're so wonderful. That's not who we're called to be. So we could, text each other or call each other, and come bail each other out.
Yeah.
They'll come show up and drag you out of wherever you were that you shouldn't be. And then as you get a little more secure and strengthened in your position, and that you want to do it right God's way, you continue to surround yourself with good, godly people, but you also um, just be very intentional about who you're spending time with.
Yeah.
So I never went on a date or went to coffee with someone that didn't profess to be a Christian.
Yeah.
But I also learned real quick that you put it out there right up front. First coffee, be like, listen, if I know we're church people, et cetera, but if you're looking for a hookup or whatever, I'm not your guy.
Yeah.
And I can't tell you how many church going women
Oh gosh.
literally just picked up their stuff and walked out, didn't even finish the coffee.
Oh wow.
Like 6, 8 times this happened. And I'm just blown away. Okay, that's what the community's like inside the church.
Yeah.
Imagine if you're seeing people who are not churched,
Yeah.
you know. And so, yeah, it was difficult, but it was also worth it. If if you honor God in those kind of details, God will bless you with a wonderful woman like Paula in my case,
Hmm.
godly woman, and we've just building a wonderful life together.
Yeah. That's awesome. What part of what drives you to serve on the board for True North, other than just being asked? Like what gets you fired up about what happens in and through True North?
Well, I see the change it's made in my life, and I want that to be for every man.
Hmm.
I mean, I see these young kids coming through camp, and I'm just fired up. I was like, what, 47 when I got to my first camp?
Yeah.
And, my kids are already grown and out of the house.
Yeah.
So how hard is it to go back and, make those course corrections and make the apologies and model the behavior that I want them to see? This is what a godly man really looks like when they're not home anymore.
Hmm.
So, having men get this information and, you know, get the healing that they need before they have kids or before their kids are out of the house,
Yeah.
so they can model that for their kids the last, whatever their time frame is, 2, 3, 5, 8 years they still have in the house. They're going to forget the first 5 years if they've seen, 10 or 15 years of dad being the right way.
Hmm. Yeah. What what are some things that if you could go back into your parenting, what are some either behaviors or intentionality that you would change about your parenting?
By the circumstances, it kind of taught me I'm on my own
Mm,
and I can't count on anyone else. And so you build those walls and you orchestrate your life, um, so that you don't have to count on anyone else,
yeah.
and it served me very well, uh, at an early age. I mean, by 18, I'm the general manager of a restaurant,
Mm.
and I managed restaurants for 17
Oh,
years.
really?
Um, you don't find 18-year-old general managers of
Yeah.
restaurants, and it was a franchise of a major food chain,
Yeah.
which is even more
Are
unusual.
you able to say what it was? I'm so curious now.
The restaurants,
Yeah.
there was a bunch of them. I started out at I started at a small fried chicken place in Newcastle, but then it was Burger King, and then on to Taco Bell.
Yeah.
And then I moved over to full service and did
Nice.
Olive Garden and El Chico.
Oh, okay.
So
How many breadsticks did you eat on a daily at Olive Garden?
that was
Not a good
hard. Yeah,
season.
yeah, it was not a good season. That one, I guess you'd for me is the large Andy
Yeah.
years. At one point, I probably pushed 250.
Oh,
You know,
yeah. Olive
so
Garden will do that. Oh my gosh, I can't imagine being around.
and then you move from that to El Chico with the chip salsa and queso.
Yeah,
Not good
I'm
years.
kidding. Did you enjoy that line of work?
I loved it. I said for a lot of years, if there was an 8 to 5 Monday through Friday with no weekends, no
Oh
nights, no
yeah,
weekends, no
yeah,
holidays, I'd go back to full service. I'd go back to restaurants in a heartbeat.
yeah,
There's something about just, I mean, it's a restaurant. So you're going to have people not show up. You're going to have, crazy customers. You're going to have all these things. And
yeah.
there's something kind of exciting about taking a horrible situation
Mm,
and making it run smooth where the customers can't tell you're short 2 cooks and,
yeah,
3 servers.
yeah.
So
How have okay? So in that concept, how have you brought that desire and skill and passion to environments within True North. Because I'm sure that we've had, there's been times, right? I've
Yeah,
experienced it,
yeah,
and I know you've served
yeah,
on many camp teams in the past. When
yeah.
have you seen that happen?
Well, it's kind of the same thing. I mean, obviously, you've got, situations where, I can remember camps where guys have shown up drunk,
Oh yeah.
and, guys have, we've talked to them and they said, okay, they poured their beer out. And then Friday afternoon in the first break, they're driving back into town to buy more alcohol.
Hmm.
And you're like, okay, this isn't going to work,
Yeah.
But how do you handle that with grace?
Yeah.
You have situations where, um, something goes sideways. Part of our camps now is the, huddling up in small groups and modeling, men's groups.
Hmm.
Well, that came out of necessity because we were at a camp in Anadarko and it was raining so hard there was literally like a 6 foot wall of water running between the buildings
Oh my
when we were supposed
gosh.
to start on break. And they're like, well, we can't go outside.
Yeah.
It's pouring rain harder than anything in the world. So they said, well, let's just huddle up and, have guys talk about these questions.
Mm.
And we had such a great response from it. We, within a camp or two, that
Yeah.
became our normal.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to model this for guys and let them understand this is what your a weekly Saturday morning or whatever day you meet on can be,
Hmm.
you know? And so those are the curveballs that you get thrown,
Yeah.
and I wasn't the guy to make that decision, but that's the stuff you see happen,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. That's really cool. What's your favorite camp that we go to?
As far as the three levels, or are you
Yeah,
talking
the
about
three
the
levels.
locations?
Let's do both. The first of all, the three levels: Basecamp, Ascent, or Summit.
I love the Ascent.
Yeah.
That listening prayer piece
Mhm.
was so eye opening.
Yeah.
Wow, that's what God's voice sounds like.
Yeah.
And once you've heard it for someone else, and it's so much easier to listen for someone else,
Mhm.
but now you know and recognize, okay, that's my Father's voice.
Mhm.
That's not the enemy. That's not my
My
own
own.
thoughts.
Yeah.
You know, it's that radically changed my prayer life.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Um, as far as the camp locations, obviously Circle M,
Yeah.
the food there was just
Yeah.
off the hook. I mean, my
Yeah.
goodness, it was so good. But I'm an old school guy. I still miss
You
Anadarko
miss
sometimes.
Anadarko? Yeah.
Yeah, between the Goliath
Yeah.
and the gun ranges
Yeah.
and just
Well, the truth is that that was just those first experiences are so special. Someday, whenever we move on from Camp Wow, if we ever do, people are gonna be like, "Oh man, I miss Camp Wow." Even if the place
yeah,
we go to is like a Taj Mahal,
yeah.
they're gonna be, "Oh man, I miss Camp Wow."
Mhm.
Because I miss Cedar Gate. We used to do the
Oh,
Ascent
yeah. Well,
out at
it's where my first three ascents were at the Cedar Gate.
yeah. Oh my gosh, that place is so beautiful.
Yeah.
And I loved going there when it was cold out and those cabins were just beautiful and cozy and oh,
What was that? Decker and Jesse Gentling got
yeah.
baptized on a November,
Yeah.
and it was freezing cold. I mean, it was
Mhm.
like a scene right out of Lord of the Rings. We're
Right.
standing around that lake watching these guys
Yep.
getting baptized, and every breath is like a big set of fog just rolling
Yeah.
out from under your face.
That was
And
the first baptism within True North, I think. That was before we did them at base camps or anything.
yeah.
And so yeah,
And there was a third guy that got baptized. I don't remember who it was though, but I remember it was Decker and Jesse Gentling. So
yeah, really cool. Um What are some of your hopes and dreams for? Are you a big dreamer, or are you kind of more of a just living the day?
a little more. I had some dreams, but it's
Yeah,
not necessarily. It's more of a okay. I'm an accountant. I mean,
yeah,
come on. I'm
yeah.
very, very literal,
I
very
should have known that.
practical.
Should have known.
Um,
If you can
yeah.
allow yourself to dream a little bit, what would be what's a dream of yours for the organization?
Just literally, can we get every guy,
Mm,
you know, especially in the communities I live in, just
yeah,
because, transform the communities is going to go crazy.
yeah,
But yeah, can we get every guy to go and get this information
hmm,
and just watch? Mike put it real well in his podcast. We're going to take these guys and take them to camp, and they're going to go back to their home churches just on fire
yeah,
and watch the transformation inside of that church.
yeah,
And then watch that church, become multiple churches. Then finally it's the city.
hmm,
And then it continues to grow and grow. And,
hmm.
I'd love to see a nationwide revival,
Yeah.
not necessarily sparked out of
It
True
doesn't
North.
have to, yeah.
Yeah,
It'd just be
I
great to
just
have
want to
one.
see it happen. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, what is, if you're talking to a man, what is your sales pitch for getting involved with True North?
I still to this day say the most impactful weekend of my adult life was my first base camp in 2013.
Mm-hmm.
Go just,
Yeah.
there's on so many levels, you know,
Yeah.
had the, you know, probably 5 years, 6 years in,
Mm-hmm.
one of my daughters came back and said, "Dad, I'm really proud of you."
Oh,
Like,
wow.
like, thanks, babe. Why
Yeah.
specifically? She goes, "Well, yeah, you came back and you said, oh, yeah, these camp things you go to. And, oh, yeah, this is Dad's new thing. It'll be gone in 6 months."
Mm,
And she said, you've stuck with it. And
mm-hmm.
no, you're not perfect, but wow,
Yeah.
what a difference.
Yeah.
And of course, I'm about crying at that point,
Yeah.
you know. But when there's enough impact in your life, your kids see it and they know you're living it.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm far from perfect. I screw up all the time.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm so much different than I was
Yeah.
back in 13.
That's incredible.
Yeah. And I love running into friends I haven't seen since
Yeah.
before then.
Yeah.
And, almost invariably 5 or 10 minutes into the conversation, they're like, "There's something different about you."
Mm,
Yes, there is.
yeah. Yeah. And you've had a lot of friends come. I know
Mhm.
you've had a lot of ties to a lot of people that have come to base camp. And so, what's your encouragement? I love what you just said about, like, your daughter even noticed that the case in a lot of situations is that people come and 6 months later they are back to the same person they were. And I mean, we still see that, even guys that come to base camp, right? What would be your encouragement to someone that has maybe recently experienced base camp or has in the past, and maybe it's either fallen away, or what kept you going?
I guess just recognizing how broken I was.
Mm,
And a lot of people don't want to face that. Um, but it seemed like to me, you know, I need to fix myself.
mm,
Because again, at first I was trying to save a marriage.
yeah.
So, okay, I can't, nothing is ever 100% one person's fault. It's either, usually it's close to 50-50, but even if it's 95-5,
Hmm.
you need to own your 5%
Yeah.
and, you know, take steps to correct it. And maybe you're on the 90% side instead of the 5% side. You got a lot of work to do.
Yeah.
Um, but, taking those steps, having that growth, recognizing where you've got blind spots, and again, surrounding yourself with those men that'll kind of say, "Hey, dude,
Yeah.
you can't talk to your wife like that.
Yeah.
You can't treat your kids like that."
Yeah.
We need that because we all have those blind spots.
Hmm.
Even today, 13 years in,
Hmm.
I've still got some blind spots.
Yeah.
I know what they are.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I don't recognize them as quickly as my friends might,
Yeah.
which is why I need those friends.
Yeah.
And so it's just good to have, other people around you, other men you can count on.
Yeah. Are you able to give us a glimpse into maybe like a 5-minute version of kind of your story of how you were brought up, and maybe some of the things that contributed to the brokenness that you referred to? Are there things that you've learned about yourself in your childhood or your teenage years, young adult years, that
Yeah.
that attributed to where you ended up?
Yes. Give me one
Take a
second.
drink of water first.
You want me to go 5 minutes? I need
Yeah.
some water here. Yeah. So kind of my story, you hear guys who come to camp with these horror stories of, mental abuse, physical abuse, didn't know if they were going to eat or where they would sleep, and I had none of that. So I always kind of thought, I wasn't that screwed up.
Hmm.
And my story, my father was a pastor.
Mm.
My mom was a teacher before my older brother was born. Once he was born, she stayed home and raised both of us. And, small town, at the point in time, kindergarten through fourth grade, we lived in Duncan.
Mm.
Back when Duncan, Oklahoma was only 25,000 people.
Yeah.
So everybody in town, like, ain't you Reverend McLeod's boy?
Yeah.
What you doing way over here riding your bike on this side of the tracks? Everybody knew you.
Yeah.
Get away with absolutely nothing, and you say, oh crap, and you can get your butt wore out in a mouthful of soap,
Yeah.
And so, I mean, everything short of the white picket fence,
Mhm.
never saw my parents fight or anything else. And one day we come home from school and at the dinner table, it was like, yeah, boys, well, your mom and I, we don't love each other anymore and we're going to get a divorce. And it was nothing to do with you guys, but you and your mom are going to move to Moore and I'll move up there as quick as I can.
Mm.
We get home from school the next day and there's probably 25 boxes packed in the hallway.
Wow.
And we were gone in 2 weeks. And to this day, I've never seen one of my friends from Duncan.
Oh,
Never
man.
again. So everything was shattered.
Yeah.
All my friendships
And
were
that was
gone.
like fourth grade?
Fourth grade.
Oh, man.
Moved to Moore, where, hey, mother is the standard greeting.
Mm.
Nobody knows I'm a pastor's kid because I'm not a pastor's kid in that town.
No.
So there's complete anonymity. Nobody knows me. No friends. And things just went off the rails.
Yeah.
I got into, first smoking, then drinking, then vandalism, shoplifting, all this before sixth grade.
Yeah. Wow.
I quit smoking in seventh grade. That ought to tell you something about your
Yeah.
story, and I was a typical angry kid. I didn't understand what happened. And of course, not without a real explanation, you blame yourself.
Yeah.
What did I do wrong? How come, what did I do that made mom and dad split up? Well, fast forward, I kind of get the whole picture. Mom has now been recovered for 30 years, but she was an alcoholic. Dad got too close to someone in the church, which I'm 99.9% sure was an affair.
Yeah.
So then there's all those complications that come in. Your father, your spiritual leader, cheats on your mom and blows up your family.
Yeah.
Well, if that's what my heavenly father is, I don't want anything to do with the father.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of distance between me and God.
Mm-hmm.
Mom kept us in the church. I went through communicants class. That's what Presbyterians, that's what they call it. In fifth or sixth grade, you go through and you make a profession of faith in the front of the church and they give you your Bible and you're, oh, congratulations. And there was no relationship.
Yeah.
So as soon as I moved out, at 18, I didn't set foot in a church for years.
Wow.
So finally got back to going to church in my 30s. And then pretty much stayed in church, but it was very transactional. There wasn't a heart change or a life change, until, again, my second or third camp when I rededicated.
Wow.
So, I mean, there's just no horrendous trauma, but, having, anybody who's had an alcoholic family member understands that you never know, oh, am I going to get good mom or bad mom?
Yeah.
Not understanding the differences. Oh, well, she's had a chance to have a belt or two after she got home. And then so if I'm in my room when she gets home and she has a belt or two, I come out and she's super chill.
Yeah.
If I'm up front when she gets home and then she's like, why is this place so dirty? And you get the, okay, wow, what's this? So that uncertainty. And then, dad, extremely selfish, quite often outright forgot, he was supposed to come pick me up and take me to work or pick me up from some event, and, left stranded numerous times. Just, I can't count on him.
Yeah.
And so, I kind of built my framework around, you don't count on anybody, don't trust anybody. It's all up to you. And again, it served me very well early on professionally, but um, lots of collateral damage.
Yeah.
Didn't have a didn't know what a good marriage looked like outside of a few men from church.
Yeah.
Um, but it didn't stick.
Yeah. Or a father. I mean,
Yeah.
because it's interesting because you say your dad was selfish, and then what did you struggle from in your first base camps that you
Yeah.
realized that you were selfish,
Yeah. Well,
and so
you learn from your parents,
yeah,
you know.
and then so
So,
how
and with alcoholism, there's,
yeah,
manipulation, guilt, nothing's
hmm
their fault, you know. And so those are the habits that you learn, and that's what you're comfortable in because that's what
hmm
you grew up in.
hmm
So,
yeah, how did uh, how did God redeem the broken part of you with the way that you related to your earthly father? How did he redeem that relationship between you and him that was broken because of your past with that? That was kind of a little drawn out question, but you know what I
yeah.
mean?
Yeah, I think I
Like
do.
like how did
Well,
how did he regain your trust?
it was interesting. I guess it was probably my fourth, third or fourth base camp. And there was a guy who had a struggle around bonfire.
Mm,
And literally 150 guys circle around this guy, pray over him.
mhm,
And we go back and finish bonfire. And that guy wanders off from camp. Well, two or three guys from the prayer team, kind of follow him. And he has a pretty significant issue.
mm,
We'll just leave it at that, I guess. And so after bonfire's over, I'm walking back to the dorm and I was going to go into the room where the presentation room
yeah.
where all of our chairs are and to get something out of my chair. And these guys are, how should we say, actively praying over this young man who's having a situation.
Yeah.
Flat freaked me out. I'll open the door, see that, I just turn around and leave. I'm halfway back over at Anadarko. I'm passing the kitchen almost back to the dorms and well, what are you doing? And said, oh, I don't need it that bad. Well, you can be praying for the guys who are praying for that guy. So I turn around, I go back, I stand in the doorway, kind of, God protect these men, et cetera, et cetera. And about the time I'm finished praying, they finish and they sit down in chairs. And I just kind of walk up and lay hands on each of those three guys and prayed over them and got my stuff and went back to my dorm. So I'm driving back to Oklahoma City the next day on Sunday, and I'm getting on the turnpike there at Chickasha, and kind of like God's like, well, what was that? What was what? Last night. Oh, well, you told me to go pray for the guys. And so I went back and prayed for the guys. But you never hear from me. Oh, I never have. Wait, what? And I don't remember any part of that trip. I don't remember stopping at the toll gate. I don't remember paying the toll. I was never mailed a ticket, so I didn't just run through it. But I'm in Newcastle. And from Chickasha to Newcastle, all God does is just send me these little pictures. Boom, boom. He goes back 15 years,
Yeah.
showing where he'd been speaking into my life. And the enemy had me 100% convinced I'd never heard from God.
Mm. Wow.
Yeah. And so, okay,
Yeah.
I've got a good Heavenly Father.
Yeah. And also, if you're listening to this, check the base camp dates and don't get on the turnpike after base camps because you never know what that driver's going through on the way back.
They get your
Man,
toll tags, so.
yeah, wow, that's incredible. Um, and so I'm sure that changed a lot for you. That
Yes.
restores. I mean, that's what we want guys to experience, and you got to experience that.
Yeah.
That's incredible. Have you?
They say, that every time you go to camp, it's like peeling a layer off of an onion.
Yeah,
It must be one of those big old Vidalia onions or something. But yeah, every time I go, even if I'm serving, I get something out of camp.
yeah,
God taps you on the shoulder, and okay, this.
yeah,
Oh no, God, I've already worked on that. No, we're going to go deeper.
yeah,
It's like, God, I'm 50 something years old. I can't have mommy wounds. What are you talking about?
yeah,
But they're still there.
yeah,
And, you keep peeling layers away and you keep going deeper and you continue to get more and more and more healing.
yeah.
And your kids will recognize, hey, you're a
hmm
lot better than you used to be.
Yeah. And I love that about you too, Andy. Like, I mean, you get it. I've actually had several conversations just this week with guys that maybe just experienced their first base camp, and they're like, it seems like there's a lot of guys that have come to a lot of these, and I kind of thought that this was just a one-time deal, but no. And I keep telling them, I'm like, retreat ministry should actually just be a part of your spiritual life. Like you should.
Yeah.
I was like, if I wasn't working here, I would be planning at least one a year, if not two, and sometimes I do three, and I think that's what I've seen from you over the 7 years that I've been here is you're consistently making yourself available to come and experience these retreats and pursue deeper healing and deeper friendships. And then and also Andy, you're always at the frontier. Like you're one of the ones, you're always there, right? And I love that you've been a part of that men's group for so long. And so I don't know, just well done with that, and just your obedience to making yourself available to God is really good. Do you have any
Well,
encouragement out of that?
well, I think, you talked about me being at the frontier. I mean, the frontier is just a way to, one, get a reinforcing message, because
Yeah.
usually we'll use some kind of teaching before we go into a time of conversation or, reflection on
Yeah.
some questions. But you're also reconnecting with guys from various camps,
Yeah.
and if you don't, I I don't get to, I mean, back then we had, 3 or 4 camps a year for
Yeah.
several years.
Yeah.
Well, 3 or 4 camps in the fall and 3 or 4 more in the spring.
Yeah.
And so you could, get to a couple of camps a year because we only had so many volunteers.
Yeah.
We have so many volunteers now. We got guys directing camps I haven't met,
Yeah.
which is wonderful,
Right.
but sad,
Yeah.
you know. So it's great to come to the frontier. You're reconnecting and staying connected with guys.
Yeah.
You're getting a reinforced message that supports what you learned at one of these camps.
Mm-hmm.
And just kind of, oh yeah, I'm supposed to stay plugged in.
Yeah.
I'm supposed to stay in community.
Mm-hmm.
And there are times where, I'll talk with a guy who's, has come through a struggle and doing well,
Mm-hmm.
who's backsliding.
Yeah.
And I know enough of his story, I can see it
Yeah.
without him even saying anything. Hey, come here, buddy, let's go talk. And we can kind of step to the side and talk through that.
Yeah.
And hopefully that's something that helps him.
Mm-hmm.
If nothing else, reminds him he's got brothers that are available if he wants to reach out and get the help.
Yeah. Yeah. That's so good. Okay. My last question for you. You've done great. My last question for you. What's God working on in you right now?
Surrender.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a guy.
Yeah.
There's that logical whatever side of me being an accountant.
Side.
Yeah. That says, okay, well, it's, there should be order, there should be this, there should be
Mm-hmm.
that. And by structuring it that much, you're not giving God room to
Yeah.
work. If you don't have that flexibility in your schedule and the open hand of, okay, this is my day, but it's your day, you're going to miss a lot of opportunities to, one, pour into other people that need it, whether it's a stranger in line at a restaurant, or gas station, or whether it is, at home with Paula. Am I trying to run things, or am I
Mhm.
letting God run things?
Yep.
And where does that, trip me up?
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
need to surrender and remember this is his day, that I'm here
Mm-hmm.
to serve him.
Yeah.
Or her, being my wife.
Yeah.
So we're called to love our spouses unconditionally.
Yeah.
Not when she's in a good mood,
Yeah.
not when she's keeping the house clean,
Yeah.
not when you're getting those benefits of marriage on a regular basis.
Yeah.
You're called to love her unconditionally
Yeah.
every single day.
Mm-hmm.
And this is real life. It's hard.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes they're not so lovable, but we have to love them anyway,
Mm-hmm.
because we're guys. We screw up a lot.
Yeah.
We're not lovable often.
Yeah.
And she's called to love and respect us
Yeah.
the same way we're called to, love and take care of her.
Yep. That's good.
And so if you're both focusing on that, the little problems work themselves out quickly.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you're keeping score, it's a really bad circumstance.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So guys, if you think you know what's going on in your marriage, don't keep score. I know how to burn down marriages, and keeping score is the worst way to do it.
Yes.
So get to camp
There you
and
go.
don't keep score.
Good. That's good. That's good. Is there anything else in preparation for this that you were hoping to be able to share, or have you kind of covered it all?
No, I kind of wanted this to be a 5-minute thing and be out. Again, I'm more of a behind the scenes guy instead of up front guy.
Yeah.
So
Well,
I don't
Andy,
like the spotlight.
Yeah, man, thank you for coming on. And the cool thing is, it's not about us, it's about what God's done in us, and God's done a lot in you. And thank you for just being loyal and dependable, and just an incredible guy. And so thank you for being on the podcast today.
You're welcome. Glad to be here, and